Hello everyone, and welcome to the next step in the A4 tutorial, DME and ILS using the TACAN. Now, I'm in active pause currently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the TACAN system works for the DME, and we'll float between a couple of airfields, and then I'll show you how to do an ILS approach and landing using that as well. So what we'll do to start off with, I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need it, and I'm going to put the instrument lights on and flick everything on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fly to Kobuleti, which is over here somewhere. Obviously we're heading in the wrong direction, so without knowing where it is, we're obviously going to have issues because we can't do a VFR. So making sure that this switch here is in the middle for TACAN, we can use this TACAN system down here. So what I'm going to do is go to F10. Usually you'd want to write down any chart numbers, things like that, before you go out on your flight, but for terms and purposes I will show you how to do it using the map. So this is the DME VOR, and it's channel 67. They're not using nav codes like a normal VOR would normally do, purely simply because the TACAN is the militarized version of it, and everything is all simplified into a channel. So I'm here, like I've shown, we're heading in this direction. We want to go to Kobuleti. So channel 67, let's jump back in. What we want to do is take this switch here, flick it up to TNR, which is transmitting and receiving, and we want to change this here. The outer bit here will change the non-existent number that's there at the moment. Using left and right mouse buttons will change it accordingly. So 6, 7, and as you can see that needle just switched, pointing in this direction here. So this part of the needle here is where you want to head to, and this will take you straight over the top of the TACAN VOR that's at the airfield. So if we come out of active pause and we go make a left hand turn till that needle is pointing to the top. Okay, there we go. So Kobuleti is out in this direction, and if we keep following this needle, it'll take us straight there. So we'll speed it up slightly, and I'll show you. I'll slow it down when we get there. Right, okay, so we are now almost over Kobuleti. We're 4 nautical miles out. Once we get over the top of the VOR, this needle will flip and we'll start heading away from it. Two nautical miles out. Almost 0 nautical miles out. Okay, the needle's going to flip. Whoop. And now the DME, which is here, which I should have pointed out earlier, will start counting up because we're heading away. So now we're a nautical mile out. So what we'll do is I'm going to swing it round. Right, I know Batumi is just over there. What I'm going to do is quickly plumb Batumi in and we'll travel there, and I'll call it quits for the DME VOR following. So as you can see, a couple of is underneath me there, and the needle's pointing straight up, which means I'm heading straight towards it. Okay, so if we active pause and go to right shift K for the kneeboard, square brackets again, and get the this is the ILS data, forgive me, that's wrong. You need to go back into F10, and we want channel 16. So flip down here, that's going to shift over there, so if you keep watching, there we go. So it's flipped over and we are just under 23 nautical miles away. So if we shift off the active pause, and now we've got the needle at our 12 o'clock. Speed up slightly. Okay, so we're 4 nautical miles out. Again, once we go over the top, the DME needle will, the VOR needle will swing, and the DME will start counting up again. So, coming up to Batumi now. There she is. And there goes the swing. And we're going to start counting up now as we're getting further away. Right. I'm glad to see that all my years of flying FSX wasn't to waste. But yeah. Anyway, that's how we fly DME/VOR in using the TACAN. So what I'm going to do now is pass myself over to myself and show you how to use the ILS. So for my next trick, I'm now going to try and land the A4 in the dark with fog, using the DME and the ILS. So we first need to set this all up. So if we go into F10, normally I'd have all this written down, but just to show you what you need to do. So we're heading to Batumi. As you can see, I'm out here at sea, heading in this sort of direction, but I'm going to need to follow a course needle to Batumi to grab the localizer and the glide slope. So if we zoom in, you can see the DME/VOR is channel 16. So if we jump back in, we need to get down to our ILS TACAN system, which is here, and we need to switch it from off to transmitting and receiving. So click up, and then we need to change this number, which is 1 currently, to 16. There's a small knob here that changes this number here, and if you go out a little bit further, you get the next number, and so forth. So left and right clicks will change those. So now we are on the DME for Batumi, so I know that it's roughly out in that direction. I'm not going to want the gun sight at all, so we'll switch that off because that's just going to get in the way. There may be quite a bit of silence because I'm going to have to concentrate, so just bear with me. I will prove that this does work, and also we want the runway lights lit up, so we'll get in contact with Batumi and let them know we're inbound.
1-1, inbound.
Okay.
1-1, Batumi, fly heading 147, 49, QFE 29.89, runway
728,
1 Tacan altitude.
2989. 2989. Right, okay. So we're going to want to adjust that to 2989. So now we have the right altitude for the airfield. Okay, so going to get this off of pause now, active pause. Okay, so throttle up slightly, and most of the flight will be using just staring at this, not even looking out the window. So know where Batumi is. Okay. And this is your distance measuring equipment. So this is currently telling me I'm 16 nautical miles out. I'll keep the altitude. So keep the nose up slightly. Might be a good idea. 15 nautical miles out. Once we get to 10, I'll switch over to ILS. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. So, 13. Keep that altitude. It's quite easy to sort of concentrate on one gauge and neglect the rest. So we're now coming to 10 nautical miles, which is here. And like I say, once I've crossed the 10 threshold, I will show you what to do next. So across the 10, so we're going to active pause just for now. Normally I wouldn't do that. And what we're going to want to do now is get the ILS channel. So we're going to flip that up to ILS and change the channel on the TACAN. But to do that, you're going to need to press right shift and K to bring up the kneeboard. Square brackets for left and right to change the pages, and you want ILS data. Now we're coming into Batumi, and as we can't put in a proper frequency into a nav thing, I've completely forgotten the terminology for it. We need the channel, which is 3, and it's giving us a bearing of 119, which is what you should be on. I'm on 120 at the moment, so 119 is the heading of the runway. So hopefully once I input 3 in, you should have a cross, well, as close to a cross as possible. I may be above or slightly below the glide slope. So we'll close the kneeboard with right shift K again, and we want to, like I say, flick that up to ILS. We want to get rid of this one and go down to 3. And there we go, we've got the azimuth needle or localizer and the glide slope. Now I'm basically just going to follow this in, and the only way I'm going to know if I'm any closer, other than air traffic control telling me that I'm clear to land, is by also monitoring this altimeter, barometric altimeter. We're on the right millibar setting for above ground level, so when we hit the tarmac it should be on 0. This distance measuring equipment is now obsolete. No bother even looking at that or looking at this, because it won't change because we're no longer on that channel. So you're concentrating on this here and this here. Obviously if you've got nice clear weather, whatever, you can look out the window and also concentrate maybe on that gauge as well. But because it's foggy and it's night and I've got no indication of where the airfield is, I'm just going to concentrate solely on that and that together. Okay, so if we get off active pause, we're slightly to the left of the airfield, so I'm going to want to rein that in before it drifts away. Don't want to overdo it, otherwise we'll overshoot, and start slowly bringing it back to 119. And want to throttle down slightly, bleed that speed off, keep the, I know it says the glide slope's below that, but it's only because it's usually around about 2,500 feet that the localizer, the glide slope usually starts at, so I want to bring that, rein it in, haven't reined that in enough yet. There we go. Give me the option then, please, that'd be great.
Batumi, Dodge 1-1, request landing. Dodge 1-1, Batumi, clear to land, runway 13.
Okay, so I'm clear to land 13. Bring the, see if we can catch the glide slope as well. Need to bleed that speed because I need to get the gear out and the flaps down. Right, okay. Okay, so we're over slightly. Start reining that in again. Okay. Low altitude warning. There's the runway. Okay, I wasn't spot on, but I was close enough. And that, peeps, is how you do it. Now, that was a little bit stressful, I will add. Thank God it wasn't real. But there you go. That's TACAN, DME and ILS landing in the dark, in fog. It can be done. I've just proved it. And I'm useless.